Officials in Thailand have released CCTV footage of a man leaving a backpack inside the Bangkok shrine where a bomb exploded. No one's yet claimed responsibility for the blast, which killed 22 people and injured over 100. It came as the city faced a second bomb scare yesterday with a device thrown from a bridge. That ended up in a canal and didn't cause any injuries. Otago University international relations expert, Professor Robert Patman, joins me now. Robert, thanks very much for your time.
Good morning, Paul.
Before we talk about this bomb, how bad is the political climate in Thailand at the moment?
Well, it should be pointed out, Paul, that we currently have a military regime in Thailand which seized power from a democratically elected government in May 2014, and they seized power ostensibly to bring some stability to the country. Prior to that, the previous government had been affected deeply by continuous protests. Since 2014, since May 2014, until this episode, there were signs that the economy was recovering.
We know, though, don't we, that there is considerable civil unrest, particularly along the Malaysian border, where a lot of people have been killed in civil unrest. All right, so when we look at this bomb, because we're trying to establish, who would be responsible, the fact that no one has claimed responsibility probably points to this being someone who is involved in Thailand's problems. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I think at the moment the weight of opinion amongst analysts and observers seems to be that it's probably the bomb has been planted by someone with an internal grievance rather than a sort of lone wolf person who was possibly motivated by, if you like, ISIS or a group like that. But, there's a great deal of uncertainty, Paul, at the moment. There seems to be two lines of speculation on the internal front. Firstly, it might be related to the Islamic insurgency in the south of the country, although those the members of that insurgency have never done anything like this before and confine their actions to the part of the territory where they want autonomy. Secondly, there is speculation that disgruntled members of the previous government have resorted to this sort of action. Again, there's never been any suggestion they would do anything like that, despite being the victims of a military coup. So there's a great deal of uncertainty at the moment.
It's not unique, though, is it, in terms of internal conflict with countries globally, where someone has done something to try and target tourism. And if you look at Thailand's economy, tourism is probably the single strongest aspect at the moment that they have.
Yes, indeed, and it accounts for about 20% or close, between 15 and 20% of the country's wealth is dependent on tourism. And the immediate reaction of the military government was to say this was a carefully targeted attack to try and weaken the country's tourism sector and also weaken the economy. So the government itself seemed to have no illusions about how carefully planned it was. If you look at the site of the bombing, it's right in the centre of Bangkok, the Erwan shrine, a Hindu shrine, where loads of tourists congregate. And of the 20-plus victims, 9, of course, were foreigners, including 3 Chinese nationals.
It's been said that the police force, the Thai police force, are probably not the right people to look into this, and it will probably be the military that do it. Are they, do you think, entirely capable of tracking down the perpetrator or perpetrators of this?
Well, it's very difficult to know at this stage. They've certainly got CCTV footage, closed-circuit TV footage of the suspect. And interesting, here's another little question mark, Paul, that's being sort of introduced into the mix. That if you look at the images, the person they've identified on the CCTV footage, it appears that the person is of Caucasian
It appears appearance. That way,
yeah. Which again opens up who's done this. But yeah, I mean, we just have to hope that the military authorities, they'll clearly be getting some help, I think, internationally. And I think the jury's out whether they can get this person very quickly, but they're certainly making big efforts.
Almost impossible to answer this question, but finally, what is the chance this could be just a lone wolf attack, one person who is disgruntled?
I think it's unlikely, but you can't rule it out. You can't rule out the possibility it's a lone wolf attack motivated by international sources such as ISIS, but we just don't have the evidence at the moment, Paul.
All right, Robert, thank you so much for joining us again. Robert Patman, Otago University international relations expert.